My Van and Melanine, and well met indeed. I'm Aragorn Company, head of the modding team behind Divide and Conquer, and welcome back to DCI Last Alliance, Episode 4 as Rhovanion. Now, full disclosure for this video, I have literally just recorded this video, but my damned microphone settings had reset, and it sounded like I was screaming into your ears. So I'm having to re-record this, and quite literally 5 minutes after I just recorded this entire episode. So I can guess almost entirely what is going to happen, but I will do what I can to not spoil anything. Now, something that I have learnt from Total War Center and from reading your comments is that I know that when I take either this region or this region, something is going to happen, and that might be good or that might be bad. I'm not sure yet, but all of the indications suggest it's going to be very bad, and I need to be prepared for it. As such, we are going to prepare for it and train more troops to send them through the eastern side to support Marwini, the war chief. In the south, however, we're still just chilling out on this bridge, smashing Rune wherever they present their ugly heads, which is all over the place.
Yes,
We're attacking Fritigern down here with King Fritigern and a number of cavalry units, and he will be able to take that city when they rise up and attack us, which they almost certainly will do because the auto-resolve thinks cavalry is garbage. Otherwise, though, we are attacking Szalnik, and we have siege equipment, so let us attack away. They have a general, they have 2 units of javelin throwers and a spear unit, but otherwise nothing really substantial. But our army's not fantastically elite, so capturing them or killing them won't be... we'll win, but we might lose a little more than we would have hoped to. Something that I'm learning as I'm playing through DCI is that so far I haven't really come across any units that are just overwhelmingly powerful other than General's Bodyguards. DCI is reminding me why Divide and Conquer took away as many General's Bodyguards as we could, and how they can totally change the battle for you from being an average sort of battle where you take losses, you win, but you take losses, to being a battle where you lose like 20 people and you just slaughter your way through Middle-earth. Now that is, again, every time I compare DCI and Divide and Conquer, it is no shade on DCI. The mods ideally should not be compared where possible. We are totally different beasts. DCI deals with the Second Age and is very much a submod of Third Age Total War. It builds on Third Age Total War completely. Divide and Conquer deals with the same time period as Third Age Total War and has changed much about the base game. So it plays like a very different game to Third Age. Now, DCI plays like a very different game to Third Age as well, but for a very different reason, because it's set in a different time period. And that is something it is worthwhile remembering throughout all of this. There's lots that DCI has taught me so far about things that we can implement in DAC, and I'm making a list, and it's interesting to see a different take. But I in no way think this is in any way... I don't think DCI or DAC, one or the other, is better. They deal with different things. They cannot be compared as apples to apples. They are apples to oranges. They just happen to both be red. Because I prefer red apples to green apples. There, I said it, all right? Damn it. Now, our siege equipment is rolling in. Our javelin troops are hopefully getting close enough. We are getting shot at by the towers, but otherwise the main force is standing in the town centre. And having a look at their roster again. These are the Eastern Tribesmen, the very simple and easily killed ones. And further at the back over here we have the Balkoth, the javelin throwers. Looking a little more rustic. And then we have the General's Bodyguard. Now, something that stands out to me about the General's Bodyguard, I think, is the contrasting colours, and I don't think they work that well. And by that what I mean is I think the unit looks fantastic, and the gold, red and silver plays very nicely, but the addition of the purple, you'll note it on the bows and on the horse, I think just doesn't really fit. And it makes them look a little off, is the word I would use. And clown-like is also a word I would possibly use. Not because they look stupid, but because they look really brightly coloured, but with colours that I don't necessarily think go together. But then that is entirely subjective, and my opinion, of course, is not your opinion, which is something I've learnt very recently, or not learnt very recently, something that has been reinforced in my mentality very recently with Pokemon Sword and Shield. My soon-to-be wife recently bought a Switch, and I learnt that Pokemon Sword and Shield is on the Switch. So it would be an opportunity for the first time in my life to play a Pokemon game on the big screen. So I was watching some videos recently about Pokemon Sword and Shield and which units are considered good and which ones should you get. And as they were going through and describing the units on a purely strength basis, they also mentioned about which ones they thought looked good. And almost all of the Pokemon that these YouTube channels I was watching thought looked good, I thought looked awful. And the ones that they thought looked bad, I thought looked good. It just blew my mind when they said they liked certain ones or other ones, because I was thinking, how can you like that? It just looks atrocious. I like my Pokemon to look like actual animals, and the ones that look like real life, like basically animated objects, I always think look ridiculous. So I'm not a fan of the likes of the Pokemon that looks like a sunken anchor, or the Pokemon that is two shields or two swords drawn together, or of course classic Pokemon like Vanillite and Vanilluxe, which are literally animated ice cream cones. I've never liked those types of models. Now I appreciate most people don't like those particular unit models, or Pokemon models, and so I'm not in the minority there, but generally speaking, the Pokemon that I think look really cool, many people seem to, in the videos I've watched, not think look cool, and it just blows my mind. My favourite Pokemon, I have to say, is Lucario, and my favourite type is Steel. Were I a Pokemon gym owner, I would be a Steel gym, and you would not get the best of me, I assure you. Well, you would, because everyone knows the counters, but I really like Steel. Something about it that I quite like, which is actually quite paradoxical, or rather contrary to my previous statement of saying I don't like Pokemon that are based on sort of objects. Because of all the types of Pokemon, Steel is an actual man-made object. And so, whereas a Pokemon of fire and earth and water and whatnot, they're elements, aren't they? But Steel isn't an element. So it rather flies in the face of the Pokemon I like. But there we are. Enough of Pokemon. We're through the gates. We are about to shoot at our enemies, which is our primary plan here. We've got the Javelin troops ready, and we've got the archers now firing away as well. Our defensive line will hold, and we'll easily deal with that General's bodyguard. Now, let's try and minimise our losses by running in our own cavalry. Our archers are firing as well, which is nice.
We continue like this,
but then we can ram the back of them with our cavalry, which will help. Right, you guys come out of defensive mode. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, there isn't actually a gap there. Oh, that's interesting to learn. All right, go all the way around it. We've lost all of our groups, or a number of our groups. I don't know why we're taking... I think we might be killing a lot of our own units. And why does that randomly group and ungroup my units? I don't understand it. Greatly increases combat effectiveness, raises morale, slightly decreased defense. Charge of Bema. Speaking of charging, in we go. Right, archers, cease and desist.
No longer command the city.
There we are, we're in. Kill what's levers left. How much is left? 4% of their army still stands. Their general, I think, is one of them, because I don't think he's died yet. Oh, there he goes. Yeah, we definitely either killed more of our own, or the Runic bodyguard unit is just fantastic, and he's just slaughtering their way through our roster. Oh yeah, look, they have a spear when they don't use a bow. Come on, there's only one guy. There we are. 390 men lost, 527 kills. Top kills, 103. Daurawada Longbowman. Well done there, sirs. Well done indeed. Everything else, though, a bit average after that. Now, I can't help but compare to the 30-minute recording I just did, and when I took Sazalnik in the now lost recording, I lost way less troops than that. At that time, I lost an awful lot more.
Victory!
Very disappointing.
The settlement has fallen.
But it is our settlement now, and we shall grow it. Merge all of our units together, and then we have out here Soruto. We will wait and see what we'll do with him, because our generals have taken a bit of a beating, so we'll hold off on attacking him for now. So we'll end the turn, and we'll tick through. So this is episode number 4, gone up on Saturday. Episode number 5 will likely go up on Tuesday, in between what will then also be the 2 Dol Amroth videos. So Dol Amroth are going to be on Monday and Wednesday. Rhovanion will be on Tuesday. And then what I will then do is Rhovanion will then go after Dol Amroth as well. So then episodes 6 and 7 of Rhovanion will be next week. They will be on Friday and Monday over the next set weekend. And then the Wednesday and the Friday of that following week will be Ered Luin, and that will be the pattern. So it's Dol Amroth 2 videos, Rhovanion and Ered Luin. And here we are, attacked at Fritigern as expected. We have cavalry. Now, they've got Rune Riders, and we want to shut those down early doors. So we're going to charge everything we can at those before they can hit our archers, and then use our archers to kill the Candish infantry, which are very good. They have an 18 defense, that Candish infantry unit. So we don't want to be raising... we don't want to be giving them too much of an opportunity to get going. So what we're going to do is scouts come out to that right-hand side, archers group together, and come and stand behind the general's bodyguard. Come out of that. Right, everyone into position, into position, into position. There's the Rune Riders. That's what we're tasked with taking down first, because they will charge ahead of their number. There they go. They're going in. So you charge the Rune Riders, and you, wrong one, you charge in from the side. There we are. Right, and that should really bring their numbers down. And then pull out the scouts. The enemy general's dead. Pull out Fritigern. There we are. Pull behind the archers. Speaking of archers, you guys run over there. You guys run over there. And if you would charge head on into that Candish infantry. See how you get on. No, that makes no sense at all, does it? That makes absolutely no sense at all. Pull away. Pull away. Mars scouts. Pull away. Speed her up. Don't run into them. Did you just shoot? You just shot yourselves, didn't you? Right, you're dealing with the tribesmen then. Bodyguard, run over here. Scouts, run over here. Right, there we are. So you charge into that. You come down here. You guys turn and charge. Bodyguard. It's just a shame the Theoden's Knights are so damn slow. Oh, and I've completely ignored those archers. They've been caught, haven't they?
Swinging in our favor. From such tidings does
you run over there. Right, they've got the Candish infantry routing.
Let's
charge the scouts in.
Lost half their men.
They'll both get shot at now, though, and then their scouts will hit, and they'll break, and it's over. 60 men lost, 374 killed. Top kills, 87. Mars scouts. Oh, interesting. 75 Mars scouts. Theoden's Knights didn't get very many kills that time. Now, again, comparing back, last time I fought that battle, I lost more troops. So we've improved in that one, but we didn't do as well in the Sazaunik one. Oh well. And then we just got to deal with this guy, though. Bauer or Burr or whatever he's called. Because we're not going to fight him here. Eric's just going to run away. And he'll go back to Aurtegard. But then we can't have him on this side of the river. So I think Fritigern's going to have to go up and deal with him. Ah, an unexpected ally. The new commander of Sazaunik was overseeing the forest edge around town with his army gathered around him. A green-clad stranger beheld them from afar for a while, and then proud and undaunted came out of the forest, stopping right before the vanguard of high-born Northmen. The stranger said, "Welcome, mortals, to the hunting grounds of the Hwenti elves. An army I see you brought with you. Now be polite and give me your names, or I must ask you to go back home west again." Some officers found these two insolent words from a single wanderer, and it said they wanted to attack him. A vanguard of bannermen had to hinder their charge against the elf, yet the Northman's mettle seemed to be met with approval by the elven stranger. And the new commander of Sazaunik rushed to the front of the army. Furious, he cried, "By Aror's bull, what is going on here?" "A misunderstanding, my lord," the bannerman said, "but we found this elf." "It was I, rather, who found you, no," the Hwenti elf noted. The green-clad elf and the commander of Sazaunik stood a bit apart for a while, and then they nodded to each other, and the elf disappeared back into the forest. The bannerman asked what they had spoken about, and the commander replied, "This Avari hunter came here with a grudge against the servants of Mordor. We killed some of those when we took Sazaunik, and earned us some kind of appreciation." He threw a wary glance at the forest and continued, "And as we protect the Penai Elves of Dorwinion," he concluded, I did that last time. "And as we protect the Penai Elves of Dorwinion, he concluded us worthy of aiding his cause in these troubled days." "Then why did he return to the forest again?" the bannerman wondered with some doubt. The commander replied, "He just went over to convince his hidden men not to put arrows in us all." So there we are. We've taken Sazaunik, and our reward is this fellow here, Denweg. Denwego, I believe, actually. Yes, Denwego. He joins us, and he will assist in our conquest of Romen, where we will head over now. But we'll just pop a tower up before we do that. Pop me a tower there. I assume the army that was standing here a moment ago has fled, and is going over to Roman. But we won't know until we get over there. So there we are. The army moves. Marbini the war chief, now supported by Denwego, who has Hwenti as his unit. 8 melee attacks, 6 missile defense, and 8 total defense. They're good archers, but their defense is quite low, so don't let them get into combat. Otherwise, we're making a good amount of money. Aurtegard built a large town. We'll go for a market here. Grasgard got a grain exchange. You can go for farming. And Kamboshka built a leather tanner, which allows us to retrain, and you can go for farming as well. Yes. Move you onto that southern bridge there. Take them out. Take those with you. Now, Fritigern, your army needs... Someone has to stay behind. So we'll leave behind those 17 masked scouts. And if you could, try and find that fellow that's been roaming around in the wilderness, as we need to stop him from doing that. Donovan can't give us anything. Raw is a turn away from sending the army out. Rhovanion, oh, you can train those on the next turn. That'll give us 2 more units. So a little bit, some reinforcements to send east. That'll help us no end. Oh, Rovanos, you don't like me very much. You've got 2 free upkeep though, haven't you? Ah, yes, you have. So let's give you a secondary. There we are. I think we can end the turn again. So we've got to take Mistrand. We've got to take Roman, which is up here and governs this entire northern corner. A large province indeed. But again, for now, we can end the turn. Oh, Fritigan, let's drop that to low tax rate. And then it might like us a bit. No, it absolutely hates us because the cultural difference is too great. And it's a long time until it upgrades. But I expect Rune will probably take it back, to be honest. They're quite keen on popping into our lands and stealing regions from behind the front line. And it's a cause of great concern and real nuisance to me. But they are what they are, and we can only deal with the situations as they arise. Ah, Captain Nimru, welcome to the bridge south of Kamboshka. You bring a lot of eastern trash, a couple of runic fences, which are a little bit better. Runic spearmen, they might put up a bit of a fight, but the high rune axemen are the ones most likely to give us some grief. But experience tells me that we won't have any trouble on this battle map because this is an absolutely fantastic bridge battle, as you are shortly about to see. And the few archers that we have here are going to make a big difference to this fight because we have this fantastic hill right here to defend. And if we can minimize our losses here against Nimru, then our army may be able to move out directly on Mistrand, which would be fantastic. Right, you guys all go and stand down there. And you fellows don't really have a purpose. You can stay up here, and we will send the javelins down there. So I don't like to pause normally, but we will pause for the moment whilst we get all of these in line. Because you absolutely would have told your troops where to stand long before the battle had begun. So I don't mind pausing in bridge battles because I don't consider it as cheesy. Because it's annoying that the game doesn't let you set up next to the actual bridge. So even though you're the defender, you're the one holding the bridge, you have to maneuver your forces. It's just a joke. So you lose that valuable few moments of time where you're getting everyone into position to actually defend the bridge. Now, if you're wondering why I'm going so wide, it is because we want to create a blob of death in the centre for our archers to fire into. Which is what we are doing, as you can see. Now, what we can get now is if we charge everyone in, is we might, yes, get an absolutely horrendous rout on the enemy's part. We lost 2% of our army, and so far 60% of them have died. Now, they did run away, so they are going to rout. But that is another clear indicator of how morale can affect a battle so much. 246 kills, Baugs Bowman, 177 Baugs Bowman. Well done, men. Now, something that I should hammer home is something I've seen commented on a lot, and I have yet to actually really feel this effect, but lots of people are up in arms about how DCI Last Alliance's attack stats doesn't differentiate wildly between the different races. So in Divide and Conquer, High Elves are all powerful. Dwarves have insane armor and defense and really high morale and usually quite good attack. And orcs tend to be trash. Orcs' strength comes in the sheer numbers they can field. But they are, man for man, worse than anything... Oh, this is going to be an actually tough battle that didn't happen last time, so we'll see how we get on. So man for man in Divide and Conquer, orcs are the worst fighters. The worst fighters. They're about on par, actually, with wild men and lowly humans. And then they rise up to the elves, who are all-powerful demons on the field. But we balance that with the elves having... elves are costly, they take a long time to recruit, and they're quite rare. So they're very best units. You only tend to get 1 or 2. DCI, from what I have been told, even by the team itself, and now from comments from you all, is that a lot of the unit stats are actually more on par in this. So orcs and elves have similar attack stats. But the way that DCI differentiates between them is, again, orcs have an ability to field a little more troops in terms of numbers. But primarily the difference comes in things like accuracy for elven bowmen, or the morale is a key indicator and player in DCI. So orcs have really, really low morale, and they will rout quicker, like we've just seen with that rune battle where they didn't have a general and they ran away almost instantly. That's something far more common to the more nations you'd consider more trash-like. But nations like the elves, who are supposed to be superior, that's represented in things like accuracy, higher morale, higher stamina. They can go longer, which is... that there's no right or wrong way to balance a game. You do it however you think is best. And it is not my place to question anything they've done. I'm merely presenting the information to you. It is for you to decide whether you like that way or not. But I do understand that thinking. Why would an elven archer be better at killing an enemy running at him than, say, a wildman archer? What do you think the actual difference would be? And if you break it down and you think practically, the elf would likely have a far better crafted bow, which would allow the arrow to fly possibly further. It would allow it to fly further, and it might be conducive to faster firing as well. The elven archer will have had years and years of practice, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they would do more damage. It means they would be more accurate and they'd be able to fire faster because they've practiced for countless years. And so that is how DCI does address that. Now, in Divide and Conquer, we take the approach that the elves' mastery should be represented in them being the best types of troops for each sort of tier. And so whilst the elves do have the best accuracy and they do fire fastest, we also give them higher actual damage stats, which is an indication really of their ability to actually punch through the enemy. So an enemy wearing armor with a bow, the damage stat that they're going to take really is how well can their arrow and their bow punch through the armor the enemy is wearing. And so in that regard, that's why we think the elves have better damage, because they have better crafted arrows, better crafted bows, and they are more accurate and better with them. But it is each to their own. But it is indeed, you will see, and it's something that a lot of people seem to be sort of turned off by DCI, and I would implore you to really fight through and give it a real good go, because it's not supposed to be a DAC clone that's just happened to be set in the Second Age. It is a different team and a different vision.
Without him, his troops will lose their will to fight.
Oh, the enemy general's died. That always helps. So, yes, do give it a go, and don't get put off if the orcs have the same attack stats as the elves, because really, why would the orcs not have a similar attack stat as the elves? DAC might well have created something of a bit of a fallacy, and that is that orcs are supposed to be these weaklings that wouldn't be able to kill anything. But that's far from the case. Orcs are raw, brute savages, and they live for battle. They are better than most things that they come up against. They are purely bred for battle. It is what they live for. They're beasts, they're monsters, they're tyrants, and they would be good on the battlefield. They're only bested by the peoples who have had experience fighting against them, or indeed experience fighting over a long period of time. I'm going to charge you in. I think, well, we are absolutely going to win this. They're down to 50%. We've barely lost anyone.
Only half the enemy force
Almost
remains.
primarily thanks to Theoden's Knights. He's such a monster, Fritigan. I mean, he himself isn't, of course, but the bodyguard he has been given is so powerful that it's difficult to use him badly, really. But I've gone into ×6, which is the almost a guaranteed way of ensuring
For the moment, the
defeat.
the battle is very much in our favor.
Right, you're going to charge in. Let's pull both of yous in.
The enemy
Oh, and it's over. 16 men lost, 615 killed, 434 killed by Fritigan. So that is a perfect example of why Divide and Conquer took away so many cavalry bodyguards, because they are just so powerful. I am not a good cavalry commander. I went to ×6 in that video an awful lot, which many of you will be screaming at your screens about, saying, Gallu, why did you play at ×6? And just generally speaking, you'll all be thinking, oh, there's so many mistakes. And yet I was still able to win a battle with that ridiculously easily, purely because of Fritigan and his power. Now, Saruto did not. Is it Saruto? Yes, he didn't go back. So we will have to go and chase him down. Now, if I take just you two and auto, will you win? Oh, yes. Smash him. Absolutely fantastic. Now, if you don't like that I play at ×6 quite a lot, I am afraid this is possibly not the channel for yourselves. I take on the advice and that is given to me in the comments. I frequently take that advice on, and I welcome any advice that you all have about the gameplay. What can I expect? What do you think I should be doing better? I do take that all on. But if the advice basically boils down to Galu, get good, then I'm afraid I won't be taking that on. I play how I play. I say that as often as I can so that people aren't alarmed when I'm not really very good. I play how I want to play. And if you enjoy watching me play and ramble on about Lord of the Rings in the background, then please do stay a while and we can become friends. But if you don't like that I'm not particularly good and I don't particularly show any signs of really caring about that or indeed wanting to better myself, then perhaps this is not the channel for you, and I would invite you to find the nearest door and show yourself through it. For this may be where we part.
Yes, my lord.
I just wanted to say that once on. I like to try and say that on each individual playthrough, because I do get a lot of comments from people where they do say, like, this guy is absolutely awful at this game. And I just want you all to know that I know that. I'm just not bothered. I hope that wasn't too rude, though. I hope no one takes offence. I don't like to be rude where possible. Sometimes I can be. Right, the Aurora army is moving out. Captain Withergast is heading off to Zaunik. He's going to reinforce Roman when he gets there. Dorwinion's army will be ready in a turn and join up. We've killed Saruto and he's buggered off. We've got Aini to take and Roman, and the army under Fritigan is now ready, I think, to actually move out. So let's press on to Mistrand. Now, that Warder Spearman unit's going to move down to Fritigan. There's a unit there's a unit there in that fort. I think that's the army that ran away at the southern battle of Kamboshka. That's a unit so that's an army we've got to watch out for. I'm desperately praying that the microphone quality this time is better. I did do copious testing before I went in, and it annoys me to no end that Windows reset all of my microphone, all the adjustments I'd made to it. And it just bothers me so much. Well, the problem is if I keep the microphone at Windows volume 100 and have it sort of near to me, then it will just spike and peak. Whereas what I've done is drop the Windows' actual volume and then raise the gain on the microphone, which seems to have worked wonders. So instead of it spiking and peaking, it now just picks up my voice at a normal level. Which is the only that's the sort of magic, if I dare I say, that I've actually used. It's not really magic, is it? It's just fiddling around with the microphone. Right, you guys are going to go south and take back Fritigan, which we did indeed lose, but I'm not bothered about that. It's a crappy little village and it makes almost no money whatsoever. But the main army is now ready, and Mistrand is but a day's walk away. You guys can link up with yourselves. There we are. Oh, there's Saruto and Olworth behind him. Clear victory, away they go. Probably lost more than we needed to, but I'm just not bothered. Our army will be reinforced shortly. We've got the troops coming through. They will help. Zaunik, are you on low tax rate? Yes, you are. You just don't like me. Because we're not very Northmen here at all, so perhaps a moot hall would be best for you. And then we'll get the cheaper market-like buildings. Get 3,000 gold a turn. I think that should do us nicely.
Orders.
Right, we'll end the turn, give you one last end turn, and then probably end the video. So I am still expecting something bad to happen when I take Upper Rune, which is the region we are walking into. Because I received a winky face from one of the team members of DCI when he said, I've been enjoying a Rhovanion campaign and it seems to be going well for now, and he put a winky face. And I thought, right, so something's going to happen. Something bad is going to happen. And then I also saw on Total War Center where it said that was a nice surprise when I took Upper Rune, sorry. But I could well be mistaken. It could just be the Hwenti elves that joined us. That might be all it is relating to. I'm just going to queue up the military buildings here because that's all I really want. I also must, of course, address the fact that the barracks event in this game does not apply to castles. So castles can get all the troops available all the time. There's no barracks event for them. And as many people have pointed out, I didn't know that because I didn't bother to read the message that popped up about the barracks event. Now, granted, in this instance, I had a bit of a reason. I assumed it was the normal barracks event. But one should never assume. And I did, and it's made a fool out of me because I didn't get to read that message. So castles do not have a barracks event. You can get all of your troops straight away, right to the very best units that you've got. For us, the highest longbowmen. They, I assume, are our best. And we've also got here the barracks, which gives us the Gaffard housecarls and highest spears and swords, which seem to be our best units. So Aldonovan will be a chief recruitment hub because it's a castle, which is, if memory serves, their 3rd tier. Yes, so in DCI it goes stronghold, castle, fortress. Ah, no, there's a tier above it. Sorry, there's a tier above it. Where we would get our best cavalry, unfortunately. But a fortress takes forever to get. We're never we're going to win this game before we can upgrade Aldonovan, which is that is something that in DAC I've desperately tried to remove because I just in Divide and Conquer to get the 3rd tier of castle you only need 8,000 people, but even then that's still so much. I mean, to be honest, we should probably make it more optional, except that once your population reaches the point where it can grow, they start to suffer negative debuffs. They start to hate you because of crowding and things like that, and you have to upgrade. So if you haven't got the money to do it, if you could upgrade everywhere almost straight away, you'd just suffer from negative penalties forever and a day. But anyway, Roman has a huge garrison, so that's going to be a tough battle. We don't have an almighty army, but we've just got the 2 good cavalry generals. The garrison of Roman has no cavalry, apart from 27 rune riders. So they're going to attack us when I end turn, and it will be an interesting battle. And we'll be attacked at Mistrand, I should imagine, soon as well, where Warlord Borthand, the faction leader, resides. Kubu is coming down to help, Captain Nablu and Captain Suskum standing by. But for now, that's going to conclude episode number 4. So episode 5 will be early next week, in between the 2 Dol Amroth episodes, and then there'll be 6 and 7 of this toward the latter half of next week. But until we speak again, dear friends, Navaya, Naden, Pedamad, Melonin, and farewell.